Ximena, hey.
Hello. Oh my God. Hi, Mr. Haig.
You look absolutely beautiful. How you been? You look amazing.
Thank you. That's
My,
very
my,
kind.
my most famous, my most wonderful success story. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's so good seeing you. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
This
so
is
much has
awesome.
happened since you've left, and I'll tell you. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and start talking. We're
Yeah.
podcasting right now, okay?
Great. Great.
This is
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so I'm just okay. Okay, cool. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Haig's, another exciting episode of Mr. Haig's class, and I am beyond excited, beyond ecstatic, beyond proud of this young lady who I have before me, Miss Ximena Escobar. Now,
Mm.
um, you were a student at Gladstone, which, by the way, is the greatest high school I've ever stepped foot on. It was
Yeah.
such a joy to be there, and it's mainly because of students like yourself who took advantage of the film program we had there.
Yeah.
And it just, my dream was to create a platform so that students like yourself could actually get to the point of having a career in the media field,
Yeah.
and you've done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us your journey. How did it all begin? What prompted you? Because the whole purpose of this podcast is to explain to students what do we need to do, or how do you get into the film industry or the media industry? What steps? What was your journey?
Yeah. Well, I of course I was never like a student from yours, but I kind of latched on to you when you started like doing the announcements and everything, and then we started like the film club. Which again, I think you were probably the only teacher from high school that I had that really like
Mhm.
supported the film journey that I had. I think whenever I would tell other teachers, they'd be like, you don't have a plan B, like you don't have any other option.
Oh yeah.
So it was really because of you that I felt more equipped and confident in going into this sort of like ambiguous field that like nobody really knew, especially in our world. And it was kind of like, yeah, so I really do appreciate like all of your help, every step of the way. I had the internship with like Reese Witherspoon, and it was one that
Mhm.
you had sent me, which was incredible. And I met a lot of people. And funny enough, like some of the girls that I met there, I also worked with at Chapman, and I've worked with other projects on, which is really crazy. Um, yeah, I mean, I graduated 2020, peak of COVID, which was a very crazy time.
Oh, the high school, right? Hmm.
Yeah, I graduated high school during that time, and it was just very strange. And because of COVID, I decided in my mind it would make the most sense to go to community college to kind of like, um, because again, like which in hindsight was one of the best decisions that I made, just because I had a lot of friends who ended up going to Chapman right after graduation, and they ended up paying like still the same amount of tuition even while they were doing online and even while they weren't necessarily able to be on sets, which is like crazy. So I was very lucky and I went to Mount Sac. I did that for 2 years. And my last year at Mount Sac, that's when everything started to like become more like we were able to have like in-person classes and everything, which was just like a very like formative part of my like college journey. I mean, even there, I learned a lot. I got like a associate's degree in like film and television, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And I mean, at the time, I don't necessarily know if Gladstone or Azusa does this now, but we had the early college program, so I took a lot of advantage in getting the GEs out of the way, and plus a little bit more at Mount Sac. I got more of the GEs out of the way, and then I decided to apply to Chapman. And I think that, I mean, I really only applied there. That was my top school, and I really wanted to get in. And I'd heard a lot of good things about it. And I got in. I got in, and it was incredible. It was such a joyous experience because I mean I couldn't believe that I had gotten in. I yeah
You got a full scholarship, though.
and I got a full
I forgot
scholarship
that part.
and I got a full scholarship. So it was like crazy like situation in every regard. Yeah, I applied in as a directing emphasis and I got it. And I ended up getting a full scholarship. So I never like I came out of college or out of Chapman without any debt. So I'm very lucky in that way. I think a lot of my friends
Mhm.
are struggling with the insurmountable amount of debt because Chapman is it's not just a private school, but it's just a very expensive school.
Mhm.
So I was very fortunate. And yeah, I mean, I did 3 years at Chapman because of the directing program. You have to kind of be there for the 3 years. And honestly, it was the best decision that I made. It was incredible. And I think I've learned so much from Chapman and I've learned so much. I've met so many people. I think that was the best part about film school is the meeting so many friends. And like now I find myself working with a lot of them like post grad because and then I did 3 years at Chapman and I just graduated um May of 2025. So I just recent graduate. So I'm just now entering the post grad life.
Congratulations. So
Yeah.
I want to backtrack a few years because you gave
Yeah.
us the whole journey.
Right.
And of course, the journey is ongoing now still.
Of
But
course.
let's go back. When teacher said, well, is there a plan B? What
Yeah.
was going on through your mind at that point? What was kind of like, plan B? Because I, for one, don't believe in a plan B.
Yeah.
A plan B comes only after you've given your all for plan A and then, okay. So what was going on through your mind?
I think when he said that, I think I mean, it was like the first time that somebody had ever told me that because my parents have always, I was I'm very fortunate with my parents because my parents have always been big believers in all of that. They've never told me that I'm not like, it's not possible that I can, make that happen. So it was the first time that I had somebody like doubt that. And I just remember thinking, I have no plan B. And I remember telling him that there is no plan B. This is the only option.
Mhm.
And I I just knew that that was the only thing that I had, I knew that I wanted to go to school for it. I knew that this is what I wanted to pursue. And I knew this was like my thing. This is what I wanted to pursue for the rest of my life in whatever capacity. So yeah, I just remember telling him I have no plan B. Um yeah, and that was kind of it.
And then along the way, did you find that things that you encountered from the words people say or the situations you got yourself involved with continue to sort of like make you think about that plan B, sort of like discouragements, but you kept
Um,
moving forward?
Funny enough, I think once I kind of left, high school and like I even entered just like college and then later on Chapman, um, it was really interesting because my world began to shift very quickly. Like now my friends were people that also wanted to pursue film, and now a lot of my professors were either in the industry or had been a part of it for a while and now had retired. So there was just there was nobody that was like, you can't make it. I
Mm.
think the only professor that I had at Chapman was a color grading professor. And I remember he looked at all of us and he was like, from this entire class, only a handful of you guys are going to make it. And the only reason why that happens is because a lot of people post grad, they begin to give up and they begin to decide that their dream isn't worth pursuing. And he said like you guys have to keep making stuff. And the moment that you guys stop making stuff, that's the moment that the dream ends. So he didn't say it in a way where you're like where he was like it's just not possible. He just said that you have to have grit. You have to have passion to make that dream possible. And not just passion, but I think the passion and the work ethic and the hard work goes hand in hand. And that's kind of the thing that has to sustain you, especially with this industry. It's lots of ebbs and flows, and I think you just have to continue to make stuff because I think the moment that you stop making stuff, that's what he told us. I remember he was like, that's how people just fall off the train.
And how are you staying on the train?
Yeah, so great question. So I just recently graduated, so that's been very interesting, this entire world of like, what do I do? I did an internship my last semester at Chapman, and it was this I was like a office PA at a production house. They did like commercials, and I was also able to like PA on the commercials. So I worked I don't know if I can say this on a vape commercial, but and I also worked in a Walmart commercial, which was great and it was a great experience. And before that, I did an internship for a feature, which was like my first feature, and it was like incredible experience and I learned a lot. I got really close with the art department. And I worked a lot under Emily, who was a production designer. So funny enough, I think this is why like whoever's like the people that are listening into your class, like the important part about this industry is who you meet and it's how likable you are and how like I like how you get along with the other people because I met Emily as a production designer and it was like also the first time that I was like learning how features work, how movies, how sets go. And I learned about the art team and I loved it a lot. I got really into it. And then after that, I met her, I learned a lot from her. And then I started doing a lot of that in school as well. So while I was pursuing a directing degree, I did a lot of production design on the side. And I ended up having a thesis that I directed and also a thesis that I production designed. And going back to Emily, meeting her 2 years ago, she texted me in July and she was like, "Hey, I'm looking for like an art hands. Are you
Mhm.
available?" For it's for a YouTube, it's a YouTube channel and it's like this the YouTuber she has like about like almost 20 million subscribers and she was like, we need work. We need hands and if you're willing and able to, um come on over. So I've been doing that pretty consistently, which has been so nice having something that's been like pretty just consistent. I think that's been really awesome. And I'm doing a lot of like on the sides, I do a lot of film photography and I do a lot of production design on the side. So I've done a couple of music videos, commercials, and like short films. Hoping to get on a feature soon.
Mhm.
And I also have been art directing, and yeah, that's kind of like what's been going on now. And I think with the YouTube gig, that's been really cool. And I've just been again, I think the goal right now is to like get on a feature, and to kind of like work in the art department in that regard. Um, yeah, and I just also this past June I directed an indie, so we're in the post-production side of that. Yeah, so
And
lots of different stuff.
are you on IMDb?
I
Are
I
you?
I
I want to
am.
know.
I
You
have
are?
to get
Okay.
on it. I have to get on it.
Oh,
Um,
you're not. Oh,
no,
oh, you got to get
I
on it.
No, a lot of the projects that I've been on, we have like we started setting like my producer, she started setting up the account, but I just have to sit down and make that account. But
That's
yeah,
huge.
I know, yeah.
Really big. But so take us through the 2 years you went to Chapman. You got a full ride.
Mhm.
Mount Sac wasn't that expensive, I'd imagine.
No, Mount Sac, I didn't pay for anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't.
interesting.
Yeah, because I think if after you graduate high school, you have 2 years for free, so they kind of like cover everything. So
Oh, okay.
I never had to pay for anything. It was actually kind of nice. I did everything
Yeah,
debt free, which I recommend. I recommend. There's no
absolutely.
18-year-old should be getting into $40,000 worth of debt each year for school. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. I agree with you. But let me ask you this. So what did you study at Chapman? I want to know about Chapman because Chapman, to me, I mean, there's USC, there's UCLA. That's what people think about, but they don't think about the hidden gem called Chapman University at the
Yeah.
Dodge Film School. And I
Yeah.
went to campus. I actually did a few student films over there,
Oh
and
wow.
it's a
Yeah.
really great studio. It's got a really good film program. A lot of students come out of there,
Mhm.
and it's definitely credible. It's a credible institution. What was your course load like? And tell us about a typical day on campus.
Yeah. So I did Chapman for 3 years. I did I my the overall thing, the umbrella was film production, and then I had the emphasis in directing. And yeah, I mean Chapman, I think I was very fortunate, which is why like I did, doing the 2 years at Mount Sac, I was able to like literally scrape off all of the GEs. So once I went to Chapman, I didn't have to do any GEs. I went straight into film production. And my 3 years, I was just doing tons of film classes. So we I think each year varied depending on the class, like especially once we got into like our own theses and our own like APs, advanced production, and then just your junior thesis and then your senior thesis. But yeah, I mean, we had classes for everything. Like, I don't, there was like, What exactly are you? Do you just want to know like each of the
Well, I'm
classes?
just wondering, so do you spend like, okay, so in the mornings you go to a class and then at nighttime you study, or, in the morning I'm not asking which classes you take, but I would
Yeah.
imagine you'd have to learn certain skills like editing would be important and
Yeah. Yeah.
writing would be important. But so, what's part of the day do you film? I would imagine that it's not a typical, core subject class where basically you go to lecture, you take notes, you study, take a test, go home.
Yeah.
Your case is completely different.
Yeah, Chapman, I think that's a funny thing about film school is that you're not taking there is no like I'm taking these classes to study for a big test. That's only for like film studies. You know, you have like two like big classes that you need to take for film studies. It's like modern versus like the avant-garde, that sort of like film noir, like all that is like different classes. And that was really the only class that you had to study for, but even then it was just a paper that you had to write.
Mhm.
Being a film student, you don't really take a lot of tests. You kind of you do a lot of shooting though. I think film classes varied. I think some classes were 9 a.m.s, other classes we had a class from like 7 to 10, and that was like the norm. Sometimes we would have those like lectures where we would sit down, do everything. That we had editing classes, animation classes that we all had to take. They were part of like the core requirements. We had production design classes. There was a couple of VFX, there was a couple of directing classes, directing for actors, like directing performances, which I learned so much. My professors were incredible. Then the big thing that we have also once you get to junior thesis and then senior thesis is you begin to have specific directing classes that you have all throughout your Chapman years, but specifically in your senior thesis, you begin to have these classes where you sit around with all your classmates and you guys have a script that you're going to make in the fall or in the spring, and then everyone gives you notes. And then throughout that entire class, you get to look at everybody's cuts and then give notes on that. And it's honestly such a cool experience. So you like bring in actors and then they kind of perform certain
Mhm.
pages of your script, and then you kind of like judge based on that, like notes, you get notes and everything. Um, to be quite frank, the best thing that I did at Chapman was I got really involved and I got really immersed on sets. Sets would happen every weekend. Once October hits, everyone's shooting. Whether it's juniors or seniors, everyone is making their own film, and people want people. You know, if you want to be on the camera department, on the art department, on the producing side of it, you have so much space to learn so much. I think as a directing emphasis, the best thing that I did was I got into every department. So I learned so much. I learned so much about G&E, and I learned so much about how to be a good first AC and second AC. And I learned so much about like production design. What's a good art director? How do you do good work as an RPA? Like, how do you do certain things? Like, I learned so much from being on these sets, and I was on sets every weekend. So it was really tough sometimes because it was like I would just be on set, 12-hour days. You get a little 30-minute break in between, and then you're working all the time. But it like I think it set me up pretty well for the industry and set me pretty well for what was to come with like just the nature of like being on sets and long days and just being good at being underneath somebody. I think I learned so much from it. And also like I think on those sets is where you get to bond with people, where you get to meet people, where you get to kind of figure out who you want on your crew, who you want to continue working with. It was incredible. Yeah, I was on sets all the time. I
Would you
was
say that you absolutely loved being on set, that you're so passionate about it, that there's nothing else you'd rather be doing?
Yeah, no, I love sets. I think like it is it's so cool to make a story happen. And I think there's so many like visual parts that you think about production design in order to create the story. You kind of have to be the fabricator of everything. And I think it's such an interesting thing to talk about sets because there's a lot of people, it's like very split. There's people who are on sets and then realize like this isn't something that I want to be doing. And then there's people who are on sets and they're like this is the only thing that I want to do. This is the thing that I can see myself doing, future. And that was definitely me. I think there was a lot of, I think I just get a lot of joy out of like doing something, out of being busy, out of like doing, creating something and or being a part of something bigger. And I loved it. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
And now you are working.
Now I'm working.
Are you working now? Now, the film industry is not necessarily a 9 to 5 thing.
No.
No, okay. So it's basically, I always tell people it's not a 9 to 5 thing, but if you know people and people know you, you'll make a ton of more money than any 9 to 5er. And
Completely.
so what is your day like now that you're I mean, what is your position, the company you work for, and what do you produce, and what's your day like now?
Yeah, so now I honestly am by my phone all the time because I mean, you just get calls whenever. I just got a text yesterday that was like, "Do you want to be a set dresser for 300 for today?" And it's just like it really just is like I think the best thing about this industry is the people that you meet can get you somewhere and you also can get other people somewhere.
Mhm.
Because it's like you're connecting with people, you're bringing people along, you're bringing your friends to bigger things, they're taking you there. Um, and yeah, I think I've currently been working with YZ Productions, which is a YouTube channel. And that's been like more of the consistent job. I'm still working as like a freelance production designer. Yeah, I think with them, I work usually 10-hour days or more, depending on what they need and what it looks like and what setup looks like the next day. We shoot Tuesday through Thursday all the time, every day. Long hours. I usually start at 8 in Calabasas. It's big drive,
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so it's like an hour and a half drive to Calabasas. And then yeah, usually 10 hours or more. And then Monday we finish prepping. Friday we start wrapping out the office and start wrapping out all the sets that we did. And then start prepping for Monday. And then Tuesday through Thursday is the big chunk of time where we're like starting to shoot.
And I would imagine it's important to keep the connections alive and well
Oh,
because you
completely.
never know what's going to happen and you're going to have to fall back because it's a gig economy. It's a gig business.
Yeah. No, yeah, completely. I think the biggest thing too is like I think the biggest thing you learn from this industry is like doing something for free, you have to look at it as an opportunity to something bigger and better for the next one. Because I think like a lot of people become like, "Oh, I don't want to do this free thing. It's so exhausting. It's on my off day." But you never know. It's like you can do the free thing the one day and then in a month, that same person that was asking you to be there for free is going to pay you a certain amount of money for you to be on set the next day. So this is that world where you're like building those connections and being and like helping assisting the other person so that like later on it can lead to something else. Yeah, and then also the big thing too is like you have to, get on those projects, whatever it is, whether it's free, whether it's paid. A
Mhm.
lot of it, think about it like if it looks cool, if it sounds cool, it's going to look really good on your portfolio
Mhm.
or on Instagram. And that's how I think Instagram and like social media is a way that you get work now too. I think that's a really big part of it. I think posting the stuff that you make, posting the stuff that you create gets you to places as well because everyone's on Instagram, everyone's on TikTok, everyone's on social media, that it's like all the stuff that you make can, even if it's free, if it looks cool, people are going to know you for something interesting that you did there, and that can lead to something else. So all that stuff, it all holds weight, it all matters.
So let me ask you this one final question. So I met you when you were like 16 or something like that.
Uh,
So what would you tell a 16-year-old today if they're thinking about going into film? What would you tell that person today?
oh my gosh. I would tell them, don't have a plan B. If this is the one thing that you want to do, pursue it with everything that you have and do it well, steward it well. And yeah, work hard, like meet like the people that understand that the people around you like hold a lot of weight and can take you to different places just as much as you can later on. And just create the best way that you're going to get better at something is by creating and making more of that same product and getting better at it. So, yeah, I
And I
think
would
that's
imagine having a lot of faith in yourself.
yeah,
Things are going to
trusting
be
yourself.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think I would look at my 16-year-old self back when somebody told her, you have a plan B, and I would tell her, hey, it actually like the door is open if you want it, and if this is something that you truly believe that you can do,
Mm.
like the door's open. The door's open, like trust that because one person, you're one connection away from getting to where you want to be. So the door's open. It's gonna be
Beautiful.
okay.
Well, I am so beyond proud of you. I brag about you all the time. I always tell you, you're definitely my one of my bigger success stories. I mean, I've had students who went on to USC. I had two valedictorians.
Wow.
It's just a phenomenal feeling for a teacher because your success is also my success. So, and I'm glad you got your start at Gladstone, and nothing but fond memories over there. I still have your YouTube videos. It's on YouTube. I still have your young self over there, and you're still young. So you turned out absolutely beautiful. Beyond proud of you, and I wish you all the best of luck. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what makes teachers proud right here. This is why I teach is
Yeah.
because of young ladies like this. So